The Galactic Council chamber stretched across 3 kilometers of crystalline architecture, a monument to 10,000 years of civilized discourse. Freya stood in the center, chains of quantum-locked energy binding her wrists and ankles. Around her, representatives from 200 species watched with compound eyes, sensory stalks, and bioluminescent organs that pulsed with anticipation. "The human will rise," announced Judge Krelther, his chitinous form towering for meters above the judgment platform. His species, the Vakathan, had presided over galactic law for 3 millennia. They were considered the perfect arbiters, logical, emotionless, incorruptible. Freya didn't rise. She remained seated on the cold metal disc, her brown eyes fixed on the judge with an intensity that made several nearby delegates uncomfortable. "I said rise." "Primitive," Krelther's translator chip crackled with irritation. "Make me," Freya replied, her voice calm. A ripple of shock ran through the chamber. In 10,000 years of council history, no one had defied a direct order from a presiding judge. The Vakathan were not just legal authorities, they were enforcement. Their exoskeletons could withstand plasma fire. Their reflexes operated at speeds that made them appear to teleport. Krelther's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Your species has been found guilty of 17 counts of violating the Preservation Accords. You have colonized protected worlds, extracted forbidden minerals, and worst of all," he paused for effect, "you have weaponized music." "We wrote songs," Freya said. "That's not weaponization. Your rock and roll caused the complete psychological collapse of the mindful collective. An entire species now does nothing but—" Krelther consulted his data slate. Headbang and Mosh, they were a civilization of peaceful philosophers. Now they are barbarians. Despite everything, Freya smiled. "Good for them." The judge's carapace darkened to an angry purple. "The council has deliberated. Humanity will be quarantined to your home system for the next 10,000 years. All human explorers currently beyond the barrier will be executed as examples. Starting with you, Freya Chen, daughter of Earth." Freya finally stood, the quantum chains humming as they adjusted to her movement. "And if I refuse execution?" Krelther's laugh was like glass breaking. "You cannot refuse. The sentence is passed. In 30 seconds, your molecular structure will be dispersed across." He never finished the sentence. Freya moved. The quantum chains shattered. Not unlocked, not bypassed, shattered. Fragments of impossible technology scattered across the floor like broken glass. Every scientist in the chamber felt their understanding of physics crack at the same moment. But Freya was already moving. She crossed 15 meters in less than a second, her body a blur of motion that the chamber's high-speed cameras could barely track. Krelther, for all his species' legendary speed, barely registered the movement before Freya's fist connected with the weak point where his head segment joined his thorax. The impact echoed through the chamber like a thunderclap. Krelther's exoskeleton, designed to withstand weapons that could level mountains, cracked, then splintered, then shattered completely. The judge's body collapsed in sections, each piece hitting the platform with a wet, final sound. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Freya stood over the corpse, breathing hard, her knuckles bleeding green ichor. "You shouldn't have threatened my species," she said quietly. The first delegate to move was Ambassador Threen of the Cautious Collective, a slug-like being whose species had survived for 5 million years through cowardice. He was already halfway to the exit when Freya spoke again. "Sit down." The chamber froze. 200 species, many of whom could individually destroy planets, sat down at the command of a single human girl. Freya walked slowly up the steps to the judge's platform, leaving bloody footprints on pristine crystal. She picked up Krelther's data slate and examined it. "Here's what's going to happen," she announced, her voice amplified by the judge's own broadcasting system. "The quarantine is rescinded. All human explorers are granted full amnesty, and the Galactic Council is going to issue a formal apology to Earth for this attempted genocide." "You cannot make demands," squeaked the Tremelian representative, a being that looked like a floating brain in a jar. "You are one individual against the might of the galaxy." Freya smiled, and it was not a kind smile. "Am I? Let me tell you what your intelligence agencies apparently failed to mention about humans. We're persistence hunters. Back on Earth, before we had technology. We used to chase prey for days until they collapsed from exhaustion. We're not the strongest species, or the fastest, or the smartest individually. But we never, ever stop. She tapped the data slate, and holographic images appeared throughout the chamber. Human ships, thousands of them, emerging from quantum gates around the Council's home system. You thought I came here alone? You thought we'd send our people to your trial without insurance? Freya laughed. Freddy, you getting this? A young man's face appeared on every screen in the chamber. He was aboard a ship's bridge, surrounded by humans in military uniforms. Every word, Freya. Should I tell them about the antimatter charges we've placed on their precious monuments? Or do you want that honor? The chamber erupted in panic. Delegates scrambled for emergency communications. Security forces rushed toward their stations, only to find them already compromised. Freya held up her hand, and gradually, the chaos subsided. We don't want to destroy you, she said, her voice carrying a weight that made ancient species pause. We actually believe in the ideals your council claims to uphold: cooperation, mutual benefit, peaceful coexistence. But here's what you need to understand about humanity. We believe in those things on our terms, not as subjects, but as equals. She descended the platform, walking through the chamber as delegates pressed themselves back in their seats. So here's the real deal. You integrate humanity into the council as full members, with all rights and privileges, or Freddy and his fleet turn this entire system into a debris field, and humanity takes our chances with the rest of the galaxy. Ambassador Threen, who had stopped his escape at the door, slowly raised a trembling pseudopod. And if we agree to your terms? Freya's expression softened slightly. Then you get us as allies instead of enemies. You get our music, our art, our innovation. You get the species that turned warfare into philosophy and philosophy into jazz. You get the crazy monkeys who looked at the stars and decided they belonged there. She stopped in the center of the chamber, exactly where she'd been bound in chains minutes before. You get humanity. Fuck yeah. The vote was unanimous.